Hello and welcome everyone to this third final in the One Provence Challenge. So the last final before the grand final happening in June on June 8th. 5 players out of the 20 tonight are going to qualify for the grand final. Well, we're about to witness this tonight. This is Oscar, your host, and with me are Carlos doing the scoring, and Ame and Schleg that you're here in a bit. Ame, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing okay, thanks. Really happy to join the stream again, and expecting some nice commentary and nice performance, nice show.
Absolutely. And with us as well is Schleg. Schleg, how are you feeling?
Great, really excited to watch this. Happy to be here. Excited to see how this start goes right now.
Yep. Almost 5 seconds to the start, so the first boat that we're sailing in is going to be the Far East 28R. So we've seen it several times already in the various finals, whether it's the One Provence ones or the eSailing World Championship finals. It's kind of like a J70, but not exactly. Ame, we kind of spoke about it last time. What can you tell us about the Far East?
Yeah, I should say it's very, it's kind of similar boat in upwind because it's not that fast and it's pretty much resembles G70, but it's totally different boat in downwind because it's different tactics. It has different angles, much deeper downwind running, and J70 offers you a lot of fighting downwind, whereas this boat escapes really easily. So it's really important to be in the top 5 or at the top position by the first mark to escape and secure your podium or your top position. Maybe Schleck can add something more.
Yeah, I like this boat a lot. I mean, people compare it to the J70 pretty consistently, but as Ame mentioned, it's more maneuverable, and downwind you can attack much less. And so it is very important to get a good start and have a lane off the line. It's a pretty interesting first leg here happening. There's a lefty coming down right now, but Das Boot and Lorenzo are both decided to go to the right-hand side of the course. So the question is, which side will pay?
Absolutely. Maybe you can explain what a lefty means.
Sure, that just means a wind shift that will shift the wind from the right to the left, which will favor the boats that are on the left side of the course. And if you're in 3D mode, looking at the game, and you look up the course towards the weather mark, oftentimes you can see the shifts coming down by the darker water. And if there's a shift coming down on the left side of the course, you can tell that will be a shift to the left, and that will favor the boats on the left, which is what happened. And Mora de Napoli is going to round it first here because of it.
Speaking of Moro, he was actually here in the last final. Unfortunately, didn't manage to qualify then, but is trying again this time to reach the top 5. A very good player and a very consistent player in the sense that we see him regularly in these events. Ame, maybe you want to tell us a bit more about this player since you guys do sail regularly together.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the gentleman club sailing, and I should put your attention on Das Boot's maneuver before saying about more. I saw him doing some veers and maybe he lost connection because he made some almost 360 using his spinnaker, and that was weird. So really curious what happened there. But talking back about Mora, he's one of the gentleman club sailors. That means he's usually very polite, very kind with everybody. And to me, I feel like he's trying to balance not just by super competitiveness, but just be respected on the word, just be kind with everyone and win fairly. And that deserves a lot of respect.
Yep, absolutely. Well, hopefully Das Boot is back on track, and his connection will get better if that was the case. But Moro de Napoli with a 30-meter lead on the second, which is ONC Kolikoi, the Finnish boat that we haven't seen so far this year, I don't think, but that we did see last year several times. A pretty good player as well. All of them are some good players, and definitely a name that you should remember because you will likely see him throughout the year on different events. Don't know, Schleg, maybe if you have more experience with Kolikoi.
There's sort of two players that end up showing up in these finals, and there are ones that we know very well from the club racing or from finals, and maybe some new people show up. And he's been around for quite some time, but doesn't participate as much in the club races. But he's very fast. So anytime we run into him in a blue series, or he's always somebody to watch out for. So it's good to see him here.
Yep, absolutely. So heading up the second upwind, and after that is going to be the mark at the top with the offset mark after that, and a last downwind to the finish line. So an upwind downwind course. And Scheidlo, is that Scheidlo Finn 6 in the chat, who is betting all of his blue in-game tokens on Fun Pigeon.
I reckon he has like 4,000, so that's quite a lot.
Von Pigeon, yeah. Go for it.
I was just going to point out that, interestingly, as you know, we were talking about the first weather leg. Lorenzo 42, he won the right side, and Moro won the left, and they ended up rounding in first and third. And that's something that I think you will see a lot in this high level racing, is that keeping a clear lane and having clear air the entire way to the windward mark ends up being more important in some cases than which side is favored. In that case, the boat that won the left was in first, and the boat that won the right was in third. So sometimes newer players are so concerned with making sure that they're on the correct side of the course that they end up sailing in bad air and make mistakes, whereas people that sail more conservatively and just make sure that they are going fast in clear air end up doing better. Well, I think Lorenzo made the right move, even though he went to the non-favored side of the course.
Yeah, absolutely. So sailing is about this kind of strategy. Do you want to stick with the fleet, or do you want to go in the advantages shifts, or if you want to prefer staying clear and avoid any interactions with the other players, just to sail fast as you can. Looks like Moro Di Napoli is going to be the first one crossing the line for this first race, and I see a Ser Sailing in the chat, Malaka Stipe for the win. Stipe coach Croatia, very strong sailor as well. Currently in 9th. As Moro Di Napoli is the first one to cross the finish line, followed closely by Kolikoi, 6-second difference, and Lorenzo 42 after that.
I'd like to mention Lorenzo not only won the committee belt, but he also took a penalty there, and that didn't stop him from taking the third podium. And that says a lot. That is just a good addition to what I said, to what I mentioned earlier about being top five at the top mark. So he was third, I believe, and he remained third. So that means a lot in this boat, because this shadow is a bit peculiar, and it works when the boats are even overlapped. Whereas in J70, shadow works when the boat is from behind. That's the main peculiarity of this boat, and what makes it different from J70.
Much harder to attack from behind.
Yeah, for sure.
Worth pointing out that FC Rich and Ramon are in 18th and 19th in this race, and so they were people that I think we were expecting to finish in close to contention for qualifying, and so they have some work to do here in the next 4 races.
Absolutely, and coming back to the start, we usually say that the start of the race is like 80% of the race, so really to say that Lorenzo did a great race over here is, despite missing the start, he did manage to come back, so very strong performance from him. It's only 5 races. We'll talk a bit about the format maybe. So 5 races in total, 2 in Far East, the first one and the last one, followed by the Nacra 17, the Star, and the J70. So it's going to be a quick final, not much room for error, and no discard or medal race or anything. So it's going to be a very hard final, well, a very, how'd you say, competitive final for sure.
And I definitely expect Ramon and FC Reach recovering from that lost position because these boats are super strong, and I wouldn't surprised to see both them even finishing on the podium because everything may happen in this 5-race series.
Yep, and I see Yannis Green Iron in the chat. Hello, Pussy Dolls. Enjoy this beautiful regatta with the most sexy commentators. Ah, stop it. Hey, it's nice to see you there, Yannis.
I'm sure he mostly addressed that to you, Oscar.
I won't take all of it. I won't take all of that. So yeah, score updated after race 1. Now we're in the Nacra 17, very fast boat, an Olympic boat that can foil. On a reaching course, so a reaching course would be a reaching start, meaning that the wind is coming in from the side, with 2 upwinds, 2 downwinds, and a reaching finish.
Do you prefer to start with a spinnaker or without a spinnaker on a reaching start with the Nacra?
Due to having a lot of starts on upwind starts, I prefer more reaching now because it's way more exciting and it puts me back to memories of a 50 event. So I would pick Nacra reaching start for the time being.
When you're starting, are you looking? What are you looking for to decide whether you're going to start with your spinnaker up or down?
Well, basically that's an interesting question because I won my race during the challenge 1, so I would recommend people not using the spinnaker during this start. That's a high risk and sometimes it may pay off, but mostly if you play safe, if you take no spinnaker start with a good angle, it ensures your top mark positioning. And also, the most important is the angle in my eyes, than the pressure. And of course,
yes,
the best thing is the speed. So if you take a good speed, then you can adjust your angle. So it's not only the angle, but the speed plus angle.
Yes, I totally agree, because you have the ability to protect. As if you're the lower boat, you can protect if you don't have your spinnaker up, and you can always put it up later. So I agree. I always start with no spinnaker. And
also, when you start with the spinnaker, it's all in. You can't luff, and you usually can lose any your gaining speed. So starting with no spinnaker is much more versatile, and we usually see boats with no spinnaker at the gaining the top position for the downwind leg. And a very nice start by Stipe coach.
Yep.
He was doing some crazy maneuver, jibing about 7 or 10 seconds. He was going backwards from start to the back, and then he jibed and made a very nice start from almost the pin position, and it's really nice to see that it worked out.
He was using his F50 starting behavior, because I know that he loves to come in late on port and find a hole, and he's one of the best F50 players in the game, and was using some of his skills there very well.
And we see some boats are tacking. Looks like there won't be any significant left shift, so they are going to the right. We see it by the cones, even though the pressure is at the left side. Nacra loves to balance between the pressure and the shift, and the best wind condition is from 20 to 22 knots is where Nacra gains 14.5 knots of speed. And we see boats are going now to the lighter pressure, because first of all because of the shift, and then because of the pressure.
Yep, which can be actually kind of counterintuitive. Usually when you see the dark colors on the water, that means that there is more wind pressure, and usually when more wind pressure means that you go faster. But on some occasions you would actually prefer taking the clear air, or preferring the shift over the wind pressure. Also depending on the patterns and everything, we talked about that last time. But looks like Ramon is getting some more, well, he's getting clear ahead here, 70 meters with a Stipe coach who we talked about just earlier, and closely behind them is Fune KGR, the Japanese sailor. So there's a lot to say about this guy. One of our Olympic finalists, several-time eSailing World Championship finalist as well. Professional and Japanese. Is he the Japanese champion in title at the moment? I think so.
Not at the moment. Kizuki is currently the champion, but KGR used to be a champion. And maybe he'll become the champion this year, who knows.
And a professional eSailer as well. So definitely not to underestimate, and he's probably one of the favorites tonight to qualify in the top 5. And well, close after him in the 6th position is ESG777, so the German player, who I don't think we've seen in the final in the One Provence yet. So good to see him there. Slowly getting in skills.
Represent his nation.
Yep.
Most of all.
Absolutely, and the German players, we used to see a lot of Roxy Joni from the UOL team. Unfortunately, looks like he's taking a break, taking care of the working with the Sailing Federation. But we do see some new German names popping up, like ESG777, Peter G-Man.
And it's great to see Ramon at the top. He finished last in the first race, and now he's first. Hopefully, for him, of course, this will put him back into good chances to qualify for the grand final.
Yep, and looks like no one is going to catch him up, so he is going to be the first in this race. The second race in this final, Stipe Coach is going to be second, Fun KGR third, and Lorenzo fourth. Agony fifth. Agony, what can we say about him? The Spanish player that we haven't seen in a while. But who decided to participate this time?
He's one of those boats. He's one of those boats like Kolikoi or 767 from second final, or Peter G-Man. They are fast boats. They're not playing that much in community regattas, but they can definitely surprise. And we shouldn't surprise if we see them qualifying tonight. And I spotted two players that are consistent after 2 races. That is Lorenzo, who finished third during the first race, and now he's fourth. That probably would put him first overall. And Van Pigeon, he was 5th or 6th in the first race, and now he's 6th again. So also some solid performance from him tonight.
Yep, so far very consistent, and we like consistency in sailing. Though maybe in 20 fleets and 5 races, it is worth trying to take some risks from time to time, though 6th or 5th is a good position to finish in. Assessing what are the prices in the big final, that's actually something that I can talk about now. The price itself is still to be confirmed, but the value of the price is estimated to be at approximately 1k euros. So that will be the price for the winner of the One Provence Challenge, for the winner of the grand final. Great, so we're going to start race number 3 in just a bit. And here's the scoreboard. Schleg, what can we say about the scoreboard?
You saw Lorenzo be very consistent here with a 3rd and a 4th. Many of the people that we were talking about before the stream are present here near the top. A really good recovery, as we mentioned, by Ramon, bringing him from last to 1st, and now he's just a few points out of 5th. So lots more to come, especially here in this 3rd race in J70s, which is pretty much everybody's go-to standard favorite boat.
Yep. So yeah, J70, one of the favorite boats of the community. Very easy to maneuver, very tactical as well. You can attack on the downwind and on the upwind as well. Rather on the slower side. It's not a very fast boat. And yeah, I think I pretty much said everything about the J70. You were saying, Ame?
I was going to say a few words about Callan's flag. So he's racing under GBR, Union Jack flag in the game, and on Sailrange he's using pirate flag. That means he's British by nation and pirate by his by his spirit.
Yeah, Kevin Fiennes, who is one of the OES finalists as well, the Olympic Esports Olympic Esport Week finalist in Singapore last year in June or July. Finished third in that final, I believe, and used to also be in the GBR team for the eSailing Nations Cup.
I reckon he was second. He's silver medalist, and Chico was third, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe you're right. Yep, maybe you are right.
Ame, you are quite the historian. You always know. You have the answers always.
Just it's a nice memory. Wish it would help me racing faster.
Oscar, you were mentioning that, you know, fifths or sixth are good finishes, and sometimes you need to take risks. One thing that I learned, you know, Green Nine is in the chat right now, and Giannis has often talked to me before regattas about, you know, what if you could get all of X finish, that's usually enough to qualify. And it wouldn't surprise me at all, I think, in the last couple of Provence finals that all sixths or perhaps even all sevenths was good enough to qualify. So it's a good thing to think about, just that you don't necessarily need to win a race in order to move forward here.
Yep, absolutely. Well, that comes back to being consistent. If you can be consistently in the top half, you're going to have a more comfortable time than going all over the place between races. I guess it kind of depends if you prefer sailing under pressure or not. So yeah, 40 seconds till the start with this race 3 in J70. So
looks like most of the boats are going for a boat start here, and looking up the course, it's not the clearest wind pattern up the course, but it seems like most of the boats are expecting the right side of the course to pay off.
Yep, they're all bunching up to the committee boat, with some of them going further to the left over here. You were gonna say, Ame?
And I would pick a middle start going to the left, because I see some low light wind at the top right side. That means that there will be a big left shift. So it all depends on how significant the right shift is currently is.
I agree. You see Agony and Pablo going far left. It would be interesting to see if that left shift can come all the way over. This is, am I right, Ame, that was it you and I that ended up all the way left in the final race of the Provence 1? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right, and that put us in a pretty safe position where we could fight for the first, and we got some. That was not a favorite. I would say that was not a favorite position, but due to even more significant left, so we were quite overlaying, and we were definitely not first and second by the middle of the first bit. But then we got some even heavier left shift, which put us at a very advantageous position.
And it does seem as if that may happen on this leg as well. We'll see.
Which is good. I should put a nice comment that sometimes not the shortest course is good, but the fastest course.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Shorter doesn't mean faster, and sometimes faster is better than shorter.
And that's what we are witnessing now. Agane is laying on the ley line.
Yep, so well, speaking of the ley line, actually, ley line is the imaginary line that you draw from the mark with the wind at the mark. So it's the shortest path to the mark with taking the wind at the mark. And usually you try to stay between the two ley lines, so not to overshoot it too much, to not oversail in some way. So according to the wind right now, Agony might have sailed a bit too far over the ley line, and that might be a bit more advantageous for those who were in the middle of the fleet. Sorry, Ami, I cut you off. You were saying?
So Agony is first. He's followed by Kevin. Kevin is currently taking not the best position, so it's good for him to recover and have some chances to qualify. And then we have Pablo Baez, who was on the right side even though he started the pin, and that makes it exciting and tricky that some boats went to left side, some boats were coming from the right, and we see in the top 3 boats that are coming from the different sides.
Yeah, apologies everyone for losing the stream. Looks like my internet is playing tricks again to me. So I apologize. Back into the race, I kind of want to focus maybe on the players who aren't necessarily at the front. Like WG25, the American sailor.
Yes.
Go for it.
This is a player that's been participating in our Pan American regattas quite often recently and has improved really drastically over the last 6 or so months. So it's been really great to see, because I would say a year or two ago there was very little community within the United States eSailors, and now with a bunch of people sailing all together, it seems as if everybody's level is raising at the same time, which is great to see. So he's participated in a couple of these finals now, and hopefully seeing him improve today.
Yep, we can only wish that for him. And well, if the amount of Americans playing has increased and their level as well, maybe, finger crossed, we can see you guys in the Nations Cup.
It would be great. We would love to.
Yeah.
And if anybody from US Sailing is listening, let's have a chat.
And yeah, and so you were mentioning about the Pan American server, Discord server and everything. You can join most of the community if you haven't already by joining the Virtual Regatta Discord, and you'll have links and you'll meet people from all around the world who have their own servers and their own championships and cups happening for you to take part in and practice. So just type !Discord in the chat and you'll get a link to it.
A meaningful point where you should join this community regattas, because it's not enough to qualify for the final, grand final. The pressure difference, psychological factors, some psychological factors are very different in the grand final versus some community regattas. The pressure in this final is much heavier, much stronger, and I believe some players, like probably WG25, they experience some more stuff pressing them, and that definitely affects some performance. So that's really important to experience this pressure. Community regattas might help you with that.
Absolutely. Well, practice makes better, so.
Yeah, it's a question that I get fairly often from new players is, what can I do to improve in the game? And it's always one of my first suggestions is that getting experience outside of the green and blue challenges inside the game is the best preparation for a high pressure regatta such as this. The tactics change really significantly. It's obviously, as Ame said, the psychological pressure that comes along with racing with so many other good players in a high stress environment is part of it, but also when you're racing in a 20 boat fleet with players that are all skilled, the tactics actually start to change, because you can take many more risks in a fleet where you can recover from mistakes without going backwards in the fleet. Whereas if you make one small mistake here in this fleet, or you're willing to sail in somebody's shadow for a while, you're going to pay the price a lot more here than you would in a green regatta, say. So learning the difference in the tactics is a pretty big piece to learn, and trying to learn that in real time in one of these regattas is you tend to learn that your lesson pretty quickly. So my suggestion to these new players is often to join the clubs and to try to get as much experience as possible sailing in regattas with a lot of good players.
Yep.
A very interesting moment has happened currently with our top three. We have Agane leading the fleet, but he's pushed by Calvin to the lighter pressure, and we see some heavier pressure coming from the right. But I don't think that's enough for Calvin and Pablo to catch up on Agane, and Calvin is doing a smart move. He's staying in between, he's protecting his second position from Pablo bias, and I reckon he decides not to fight for first, because it's just only a single point difference. But it's much more better to get one more point than lose at all and finish in 5th or 6th if you get a penalty.
Agony is currently in 8th overall, arrived 12th in the first race, 5th in the second race, and Kavan is overall 15th, so he definitely needs these low point races if he doesn't want to fall too far behind.
Agony did a very good job there sailing to the non-favored side of the course to protect his starboard advantage, and he was able to use his lead as a buffer there. And Cavan couldn't fight him, because if Cavan fought him anymore, then 3rd and 4th would pass. So Agony, in sailing to the unfavored side of the course, was able to protect his first best.
Yep, as the rest of the fleet is slowly coming in as well, ESG 777 is likely going to be 11th, though close with the WG25. We're going to have to see how these two differentiate in time. KGR, Ramon, Mauro Di Napoli, and all of these people are closing in behind them. And that was race 3 in the J70. And we're going on to race 4 in 3 minutes.
That was very nice to witness the tactical moves from all the boats from top 4. They were not really much fighting, and that's what differs the high level grand finals from some community regattas, because in community regattas people tend to fight a lot, and these players in the finals and grand finals and the official finals, they know how to balance between fighting and between going fast and not losing their position. The speed is essential.
Yep, there we have it, the scoreboard updated. So Stipe Coach is currently first with the 9th place, 2nd and 5. Agony 2nd with 18 points, 12, 5 and 1. Fun Pigeon 5, 6, 9 and 3rd with 20th point overall. Cody Koy, we talked about him earlier, 21 points, 2, 15 and 4. Hopefully that 15 position was just a hiccup, and he'll maintain this 2 and 4 average throughout the remaining of the races. And 5th, KGR with 22 points, 6, 3 and 13. As a reminder, only the top 5 are moving towards the grand final.
It's very close still, of course. Von Pigeon has 20 in 3rd place, and Stefan Gazin has 30 in 10th place. So there's a lot to still be decided. And you can see that Von Pigeon and Stipe Coach are the only 2 people that I can see that have all 3 finishes in the top 10. So it's a very competitive fleet, very easy to finish outside the top 10. So consistency wins, as we keep saying.
But even though I would say whoever who makes some great result into next races will qualify, because let's take Lorenzo. He finished last, I believe, or pre-last in 3rd race, but he's still in the game. He has 25 points, and that's just 5 points difference from the bronze podium. So this final does let you make a single mistake.
Yep, one bad performance or one good performance could actually change everything. And yeah, as you said, the score is very close, only 10 points difference between 3rd and 10th. So yeah, one bad race could change it all. We're going to switch to the Star. The race is about to start, so the 4th race. The Star is, again, one of the slower boats. Very nasty wind shadow on the downwind. This is where most of the battle is going to take place. Depending on the wind, it can go very fast on downwind, but with this huge wind shadow that it has, you need to have a considerable lead to escape it. What do you guys think about the Star?
I loved hearing Ame talk about this in the last stream. The Star is one of my least favorite boats in the game. I find it very frustrating. And for me, I actually think less about tactics when I'm racing in the Star. I really just want clear air, try to get up to the first mark as far in front as I can. But going downwind, for me, everything is about trying to prevent myself from getting frustrated, because you are almost certainly going to be covered, and it's going to feel as if people are being personally attacking you. And for me, just keeping my boat pointed at the mark and looking for openings in the wind shadows is a much better strategy rather than trying to be proactive and aggressive. I think it's a very easy boat to make mistakes in. So for me, it's all about being extremely conservative.
As far as I remember, in the first final, you managed to recover from significant disadvantage, and you finished 5th, I believe, just after me.
Yes, I think that's right. I had it may have even been Stefan Galzin. I don't remember exactly, but I had somebody give me a pen right at the weather mark, and that was a good example maybe of me not getting too frustrated, considering somebody gave me a penalty. And I remember that I just sailed towards the unfavored left turn at the bottom, but you and I were together over there, and it ended up being a very smart move. We didn't have to deal with any large group of boats rounding, and there was a right-hand shift that came, and I went from 18th to 5th, I think, yes.
Which just proves no matter how hard it is, no matter how difficult the situation is, it's still possible to recover. It's of course sometimes about how lucky you are, but there are still some wholesome clues how to recover and how to gain the maximum, the best out of possible. And some nice peculiar moment where I noticed in this grand finals in comparison with regular series is that in Inshore, a lot of players, they fight during the downwind, and that's a huge mess slowing down everybody, whereas in this final, players know that there is no sense in fighting downwind. They consolidate the back of the fleet, the back runners, they consolidate and pushing. They make their shadows, they merge it into a confluence, and with that huge sail, they catch up the middle boats, and then the new fight begins. And this is actually the very smart move, not to waste time and just use the maximum of your possible speed, and not to fight for closest position, but to fight even. Just to look ahead and try to catch not several positions, but about 10 or more.
Yep. And Chris D saying no one OCS clap. Indeed, but don't jinx it. Let's keep it that way.
Very important move for Mora Di Napoli now, because he's first, is just stay VMGing, because the boats are covering each other. The boats in top 5, they can't consolidate, and they will have to split, they will have to spread along the downwind, and they will be covered by the other boats. That's what we see. The grey boat in second is covered by the boat behind, and that boat behind, the red boat, neutralize the shadow of the second boat, and Mora Di Napoli stay untouched. Even though he's in the shadow, he stays untouched, and currently we see he's finding a bit of area with list of shadow, and sometimes it even gives him clean air, and he escapes dramatically. So he's able to maintain his speed, and that definitely secures his first position, which will result really well in overall score.
Looks like he did manage to find a clear spot between all of these wind shadows. Currently going at 7.9 knots, 7.8 knots.
And the leeward gate is very even, so rounding either way will be fine. Although it looks as if the first shift that will come is a left-hand shift, which is why Moro decided to make his right-hand turn to go left. But it should be interesting to see what happens going up this leg.
Few other nice moves I noticed is some group of boats, they went to the right, they went off the shadow to the darker area, they made far longer way to the downwind mark, but that paid off. They were out of the shadow. They made a longer course, but they made a faster approach to the downwind mark, and they definitely improved.
Seeing how FC Rich does will be interesting. He's in 9th place, and he's the furthest right boat right now. He's taking a bit of a gamble, hoping for the right-hand shift late. A lot of people that play this game and have the wind intelligence help, or they can see the windsocks in their circle in the top left. But if you are able to look up the course, you can actually see shifts coming that aren't represented in the windsocks yet. So perhaps Rich saw that there was going to be a right-hand shift, which it does now look like there's going to be. So I think he rounded in 10th or 11th, and it'll be interesting to see if he's able to improve on that by sailing clear on the right side.
And the unique point of this boat, trait of this boat, is that there's not much speed reduction on the upwind, so you can lie in the shadow of the other boat and maintain almost the same speed where there is a huge wind loss, wind reduction when you're in a shadow in the downwind. That's why we see a lot of fighting during the downwind and less fighting during the upwind.
Yeah, and it looks like FC Rich did get a couple of places, though he's gonna have to leave the way to Gansford, who can sail behind him.
That's a 4 or 5 place gain for him,
yeah.
Which was nice.
A very nice perspective, a camera angle on the stream, by the way. It's not, you can cuss purposely. It works not often, but it's very nice. You're like flying on the helicopter. And it's nice to look after Lorenzo and Van Pigeon. They are Van Pigeon is third, and now he is not doing that well. And Lorenzo is fifth, I believe. And we are also at the second part of the fleet.
Yep, and Stipe is in 12th, and Agony is in 13th. So we will definitely see a shuffle at the top of the fleet here, depending on how this downwind goes.
And a very beautiful lead by Martin Napoli. He's
Martin Napoli is safe. 100-meter lead. It's in the bag for him. Currently 7th, 26.7th. So he's probably going to shoot up in the top 5 after this race.
Where is Agony? Agony is at 13.
And Agony has decided to sail very far into the pressure. He's he and Stipe took completely different paths downwind here, so it'll be interesting to see which pays off.
It really is, because the pin end is favorite. The pin end is a little bit higher than the committee boat. So when you go straight to the pin from the top mark, you definitely make some shorter course than if you go to the committee boat. But we see FC Rich, he went to the right and now he's at the significant shadow of 3 other boats, which definitely slowed him down a bit.
It seems as if going to the pin was a little bit more favored. I think Agony and Stipe rounded at about the same time, and they got 12th and 13th. This should be a very interesting leaderboard after this race.
We'll see how the leaderboard shifts after race 4. So we're going to head over into the race 5, which is the last race, and Far East 28R again.
Polikoy did not that bad. He finished within the top 10, which probably secures his great position and gives him some high chance to qualify now. He's pretty consistent today. Josh, what's the most exciting race for you? Which boat class out of 4 represented here in this regatta?
I love sailing in the NACRA. Whether or not there are passing lanes, it always feels like you have a chance. You can always find clear air, and you can always make a move. So I actually think that's my favorite boat in the game. So even when you start poorly, I always feel like I have a chance to catch up.
With the Knocker 17.
Yes, there's just something. It's something psychological more than anything.
I'm glad to finally find someone who considers it one of his favorites, because I think the Knocker 17 is one of my favorite as well. With the F50. So I'm happy to hear that.
A lot of people agree that just the being good in a J70 is the real test, and I do love sailing in the J70s just because it's the perfect balance between a boat that sort of performs well upwind and is maneuverable, and you can attack downwind, but it's not it's not so heavy like the Star, where it's slow and frustrating. J70 is really the great equalizer in the game for sure.
Couldn't have said it better. So, race 5 is in Far East again. So, reason why we do 2 times the Far East in this final is because, well, the challenge to qualify for this final was in the Far East, so we're giving a bit of an advantage to players who performed well in the Far East for this final. And we will see the format of the grand final once the sailing instructions have been posted, which should be in the coming days. Grand final happening on June 8th, so be ready for that. It's going to be 20 players as well, 5 from each final, and 5 from the global ranking. So the top player from the global ranking not already qualified, the 2 top male players, and the 2 top female players. You were going to say, Schleg.
Yes, to note the scoreboard right now, it's extremely close. 5th place right now has 33 points, and 11th place, Ginsu, has 38. So just 5 points separating 5th from 11th right now. So everybody from Ginsu on up all have a chance to qualify here. So lots of pressure on all these boats for this race. And should be very exciting.
Another important point is that only 6 points separate 1st place from the 5th place, so anything can happen.
Yeah, I always think about qualifying, but of course you want to win a regatta like this as well. So I'm sure that Stipe Coach and Moro and Koli are all thinking about trying to step on the podium or potentially win, of course, as well.
They might try, but even though, if boats from top 5 to top 11 do some good race and all the top 5 boats will make some bad result, and in the last race this will change the result, the overall scoreboard dramatically. So anything can happen, that's what I mean.
To me, it's looking like the left side of the course will pay, so I'm curious to see which boats decide to start at the pin. To get this first left shift. It looks like a lot of boats are setting up in the middle at the moment.
It's an interesting point because to me it's a little bit different. To me the left side is already prevailing, and it's more important to who tacks first to the right side and then has some slight right supply and goes to the left again. So to me it makes more sense to have some first quick tacking to the right. Let's see.
Good. I like that we have differing ideas here.
We'll see who pays off. Well, which one pays off? And I see Swicebird in the chat. Great transmission, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for the compliment.
KGR tried to battle with Lorenzo.
Yep.
To win the pin, and unfortunately received the penalty. So Lorenzo won the pin and is going left.
And KGR is going to have to cross the whole fleet, staying behind, and decided to go to the right-hand side of the course.
A good position for Ramon. He went to the right from the committee bell, and now he has some starboard rights on the rest of the fleet. So the question is how big the left shift will be. Good position for Lorenzo and One Pigeon, especially for One Pigeon, who is not far from the top 5. Let me quickly check what's his position now.
One Pigeon is 6th with 35 points.
Yeah, and he needs just one good he needs to make a good result in this race to qualify. So probably he will be playing safe. Now he might even overlay to keep this top position. And also important for Lorenzo. So Lorenzo is currently leading the fleet, and it looks like he will stay in the lead by the top mark approach.
I'm actually just curious. I'm gonna look up how many points did the top 5 have in the previous finals.
$26 was first place in the final one, and top 5 was ended up in 35 with 35 points. It's very different now because we have almost same points. We have set 27 in for the first place and 35 for the 33 for the fifths. So we have some higher points this final.
Mm-hmm.
Which pretty makes sense because we have different boats. We had 2 G70s in first final, 2 stars in the second one, and now we have 2 Ferries, and we know some people are stronger in one boat and some people are stronger in the other boat.
Yeah, so it looks like this final is going to be the final where the top 5 are going to have the highest points, as you said.
It does look so.
Yeah.
An interesting approach for One Pigeon, just because we mentioned him. He's fighting for qualification. He's at the back of the first bunch of boats, and I reckon this still is a good position for him. So he is currently in the middle of the fleet and just needs to recover a few positions to qualify. Let's see if he copes with that. Pretty safe position for Lorenzo.
Mm-hmm. One boat to watch is ONC Kolikoi, who is back in 16th right now, which would give him 46 total points and definitely put him at risk for not qualifying. So he needs to make a move here to try to get himself back in the race.
A good position for Stat Coach. And this player definitely knows how to keep that position, how to play safe. So I expect him to qualify.
And then also Agony, who is in 4th currently, is in 18th. So if Agony and Kolikoi both have the finishes deep as they are right now, it will probably open up 2 spots here for people to sneak into the top 5.
Agony is in 18th.
Yeah, but he's 4th overall, yeah, right?
Okay, sorry, I was looking at the front of the feed, I couldn't find him.
Yeah,
totally right then. Totally makes sense what you said.
And that's what Schlager mentioned, that this opens the door to 2 more boats. So 2 boats from top 5 are losing their position, and 2 new boats might join it up. And
Von Pigeon is now struggling as well in 17th.
Yeah, but let's see if any miracle happens.
You have the scoreboard on the stream on the side of the race course over here. So people in the chat, go comment who you think the top 5 are going to be at the end of this race, knowing that this is the last race and only the top 5 go to the grand final.
I think Pablo has a chance here. He's in 4th or 5th, depending. And he's with 38 points in 9th, just 5 points behind 5th at the moment. So he has a chance as well. There's lots to shift here in the next couple of minutes.
I should say the overall finishing position at the finish line for this race means a lot to Ramon, who sneaked first. So it's very important for him how it will turn out at the end. Oh, he's second now, but still very good for him.
Yep, we have Peters on, who's saying that Das Boot is going to make it.
First.
I unfortunately do not think Das Boot is going to make it with 56 points, currently 18th. He was consistent at being 17th. I don't think that's going to qualify him. And eSailing called for Stipe at the beginning, and well, Stipe looks like a pretty safe bet indeed. Second overall with 28 points, and currently 4th in this race. And,
yeah, I guess that is a good battle to watch now. Would be between Moro and Stipe Coach. Whoever wins this race, I guess Moro would have the tiebreaker since he has 2 firsts. So Stipe Coach needs to beat him by 2 boats in order to win the regatta. So that'll be a good battle to watch coming down here.
And we have a completely different strategy between 2 boats. Moro decided to go more towards the right, and Stipe decided to steer straight to the left, and they might cross path actually closer to the line over here. And Carlos Parejo is betting on 42 Stipe, Pablo, Moro, and Stefan. And so he doesn't see Kolikoi or Agony making it, who are currently Agony 16th and Kolikoi 14th.
I think Stipe Coach just disconnected.
I just saw someone disconnect and I was looking for it, and it looks like it is Type Coach, and that is not.
That's crazy.
That's a bummer, yeah.
I think he was on pace there to get 4th or 5th and win the regatta.
We'll see how this tallies up. That is very unfortunate for him.
It was nice to watch Roman, Lorenz, and Valentin Lisa, Stefan Gildan, not fighting at all. They know they just need to sail fast towards the finish line, finish in the position they have, because they definitely qualify with those positions, so no stress there for them. And that's a good hint for newcomers to the game, that you should also not watch not only the race but the scoreboard and just calculate the points you need to qualify.
First place, Mauro Di Napoli. I think we've talked about him. He was one of the favorites coming in tonight with 34 points. First, 10th, 15th, first and 7th. So some great performance here and there, and some slip-ups as well. Stefan Garzan in second with 36 points, 10, 12, 8, 3, 3. A bit slept on. We didn't talk about him that much tonight. But he is one of the good players, and somehow always manages to qualify in the finals that matter. Lorenzo 42 in third with 38 points, 3, 4, 18, 11, and 2. Didn't really like the J70 or the Star, apparently. Pablo Baez fourth with 42 points, 15, 16, 3, 4, 4. So had a rough start, but manages to stay in third and fourth for the remainder of the races. And Kolikoi tied with KGR with 43 points, 2, 15, 4, 9, 13. But Kolikoi is going to be the one going forward in favor of Kolikoi, not of KGR. So these will be the 5 players who will be joining the grand final on June 8th. Grand final of 20 players as well, and the price is going to be something worth around 1,000 euros. We'll have more details about this before the grand final, and it will be posted on the Discord with a notice of race amendments. Some very nice racing that we saw tonight, some nice shifts in the ranking as well. I don't know if you have any last words to say, Ame and Schleg.
It was an exciting final. It was a pleasure to commentate, to spectate it, to commentate, and have a meaningful addition to the tie for the 5th and 6th. I don't know if the overall rank is joining the grand final already or after the final, but I know that Lorenzo won the overall ranking through the series, and this might be KGR's chance to qualify.
Yep, so that actually, it's a good transition for me to talk about how the qualifications for people from the overall ranking is going to work. We're going to take the first player overall in the global ranking who's not yet qualified. So as you said, if Lorenzo is qualified over here, then we'll look at the ranking of the global ranking, and the first person who is not qualified yet is going to be qualified. I think Harder was one of the good ones, or one of the players who had a good position on that. We'll have to check in game. It looks like Harder is going to be the first one. After that, we're going to take the top 2 male players. So these are the players who have specified in their account being male and who are not yet qualified. So looks like FC Rich might be one of them, judging by here. And Fawn Pigeon might be the second. And then we'll take the top 2 females that we'll say who they are once we have a look at the ranking. If someone from the grand final cannot participate, we'll just take the next in line from where they qualified. So if someone from challenge 1 cannot participate, then we'll take the next in line in that challenge. So that is it for tonight. The One Provence Challenge 3 grand final happening on June 8th, so be ready for this one. This has been Oscar, your host, and with me was Carlos at the scoreboard and Ame and Schleg on the commentating booth with me. Hope you all enjoyed it. Wish you all a good evening or a good day, depending on where you are, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks, Oscar.
Thanks, Oscar. Goodbye, everyone.